Have you ever wondered what would happen if Modulo Yuji got teleported into the Heian Era? Not as Sukuna's vessel this time, but as his executioner. In this era, he would need to face Sukuna and Kenjaku and kill them off for good, to save the world from every disaster Sukuna was going to unleash upon it. And by the end of this, you are going to watch the King of Curses feel fear for the very first time in his life. Our story starts off with Yuji in the modern era, who makes a very big binding vow. He gives up his life in the modern era to be reborn again during the Heian Era, around the same time as Sukuna, with all of his powers and all of his memories. The catch is that he comes back in a child's body, which means he will have to train to get strong all over again. Yuji opens his eyes and sees ancient Japan in front of him. His parents are just poor laborers, and he is their only hope of getting out of poverty. As Yuji turns 10, he decides it is the perfect time to start his training in full swing, and to stop hiding what he is. Yuji first focuses on mastering his blood manipulation powers, because that is one of the main differences between him and Sukuna. He believes that by mastering blood manipulation, he will have an advantage the King of Curses simply cannot copy. At just 10 years old with his blood manipulation, Yuji starts hunting down curses, and he also makes some money by protecting people from them. He charges very little, and only takes out curses up to grade 1, but he still makes enough to support his poor family and pull them out of poverty. Yuji plans to take on special grade curses once he has mastered the rest of his powers, because those are the risky ones. So he masters blood manipulation first, then starts learning dismantle and cleave, and practices them on low-level curses. By the age of 15, Yuji is now stronger than a grade 1 sorcerer, and sitting right on the edge of special grade. He has mastered dismantle, cleave, and blood manipulation. He starts taking out special grade curses too, and he starts fighting off the evil Jujutsu clans as well. This helps Yuji grow at a rapid rate, and it lets him master Black Flash, which is another one of his specialties. And this is where Yuji gets to know about Yorozu, a sorcerer who is causing chaos and killing people for her own pleasure. In the main timeline, Yuji never met Yorozu, so he does not know much about her curse technique or how dangerous she truly is. He takes her for a grade 1 sorcerer. That is the worst mistake he has made since he got here, because Yorozu is a special grade. In the timeline Yuji came from, she fought Sukuna on nearly even terms during the culling game, and this is right after Ryu Ishigori, a monster of a sorcerer in his own right, got dispatched by the King of Curses almost instantly. That fight was competitive. Yorozu landed several direct hits on Sukuna, and she stood there and took the 10 Shadows technique. Speaking of alternate timelines, that's honestly one of my favorite parts about making these videos. You take one small change and suddenly history plays out completely differently. That's exactly why I've been having so much fun with Polybuzz lately. I made my own Modulo Yuji character and started throwing him into scenarios that could never happen in canon, like asking how he'd react if he met Sukuna before he became the King of Curses, or what it'd be like for Yuji to see Gojo again. I even chatted with Todo himself to see if he'd approve of my type of woman. You can create your own characters from scratch, keep them private, or share them so everyone else can chat with them too. And if you don't feel like making one yourself, there are already over 20 million characters to explore. They even come with their own voices, so you can have unlimited conversations, create entirely new storylines, or see how your favorite characters respond to your craziest what-if scenarios. If you want to try it yourself, check out the link in the description and search my code in Polybuzz to unlock premium features. Now back to the story. Because unlike our little what if, Yuji is about to find out just how terrifying the real Yorozu actually is. Yuji arrives at Yorozu's location, where she has already killed hundreds of innocents, and Yuji gets pissed off seeing this. He charges at her to land a Black Flash, but Yorozu dodges it like it is nothing and lands a Black Flash of her own, knocking him back and drawing his blood. Now Yuji realizes that Yorozu is not a grade 1 level sorcerer. She is a powerful special grade, and he has to get serious right now, because if he loses here, he dies, and the mission he burned an entire life to come here for dies with him. Yuji uses blood manipulation on Yorozu, and it starts to overwhelm her, so she answers with her construction curse technique, which lets her recreate any substance she wants. She constructs a pair of wings on her back, allowing her to fly at high speed, and just like that, Yorozu starts dodging everything Yuji throws at her. Since Yuji cannot fly, he does not have many options to attack her, except for jumping at her, or waiting for her to attack him and using that chance to counter. Thinking Yuji can only use blood manipulation and black flash, Yorozu charges at him. Bad idea. Yuji stops her tackle cold, because he is physically one of the strongest sorcerers in history, if not the strongest, and then he starts using cleave on her, injuring her heavily. And seeing this, Yorozu freezes, because this is Sukuna's technique. She knows it better than anyone alive, because Sukuna is her obsession, and that exact technique is coming out of a 15-year-old boy. Yorozu creates distance between them and instantly uses her insect armor with construction, greatly enhancing her strength, durability, and speed. All of her close-range abilities are now on par with a 15-year-old Yuji, who has not reached his Modulo Yuji power level yet, but is still monstrously strong. Yorozu starts fighting Yuji head-on, then uses a sneak attack by creating liquid metal which injures him, but he recovers using reverse curse technique. So she goes for the kill with her true sphere, an attack that generates infinite pressure, which makes it untouchable. And this is where Yuji uses something he has been secretly hiding this whole time. One of Sukuna's strongest techniques, Fuga. Yuji clashes Fuga into the true sphere and knocks Yorozu back. Getting pissed off, Yorozu asks him how he can use Sukuna's technique like this, whether he has some kind of copy curse technique, but Yuji does not reply to her question. Instead, he tells her that she has committed too many crimes to be left alive. Yorozu recovers using reverse curse technique and launches her domain, Threefold Affliction, but Yuji here launches his own domain, completely overwhelming Yorozu and killing her in the process. Soon the news of Yorozu's death spreads across the whole of Japan, and Kenjaku cannot believe it. A sorcerer as strong as Yorozu, killed by someone nobody has ever heard of. He immediately gets interested in this mysterious sorcerer, whereas Sukuna, who gets told about the news by Uraume, gets excited instead of sad over Yorozu's death, because in his mind, someone strong enough to challenge him has finally arrived, and he is already looking forward to killing them. But there is one weird rumor attached to the story that takes everyone, including Sukuna and Kenjaku, by surprise. It is said that this new mysterious sorcerer can use Sukuna-like techniques on top of blood manipulation. Sukuna does not think very much of it. Kenjaku finds it even more interesting, and he asks Sukuna to go and check up on this new mysterious sorcerer. Yuji here decides to hide instead of confronting Sukuna, because he needs to be around 20 to have an adult body and enough experience in this new body to take Sukuna down. So he trains for another 5 years, hiding himself and his family from both Sukuna and Kenjaku. By the time he resurfaces, Yuji has mastered all of the shrine techniques, and he is completely immune to shrine. He can now land way more black flashes than his 15-year-old form ever could, and he is right on the edge of his modulo version power level. He decides to fight Sukuna last and goes for Kenjaku, who is hanging out with Tengen. He ambushes them and finds out he walked straight into Kenjaku's plan, because Sukuna was hiding there the whole time, and he greets Yuji personally. Yuji is a little intimidated because he is still not at his Modulo Prime version level of strength, but he still does not back off from fighting Sukuna. Here, both of them start fighting, and both of them are close combat monsters, but Yuji has the edge in strength. Sukuna, Kenjaku, and Tengen are shocked by this, because Sukuna is getting overwhelmed, and it is happening in physical combat, the one place he has never been touched. He has 4 arms and 2 mouths, which allow him to perform hand signs while he is fighting, and despite all of that, Modulo Yuji is beating him. So Sukuna decides not to test Yuji anymore, and goes straight for the kill with Cleave, taking advantage of their close distance. Yuji takes the slash head on, and he is perfectly fine. This shocks Sukuna, and thinking Yuji dodged it or blocked it somehow, he launches multiple cleaves and dismantles at him, and Yuji eats them like breakfast. Tengen and Kenjaku cannot believe their eyes, and Sukuna is rattled because this mysterious sorcerer is not only physically stronger than him, he can also take on the slashes that are the entire foundation of his curse technique. Sukuna here attacks with Hiten, but Yuji uses Fuga, shocking Sukuna, and destroys destroys one of his two weapons while burning Sukuna in the process, forcing him to use reverse curse technique to recover. Now Sukuna only has Kamutoke left, which he uses against Yuji, and Yuji has no counter for the thunder power of Kamutoke. He tries to use blood manipulation for defense, and he still gets hit by the lightning. This is the weapon Sukuna carried when he annihilated the elite squads of the Fujiwara clan and wiped out entire lineages of sorcerers in a single night. Yuji bleeds heavily, but luckily he has mastered reverse curse technique and recovers instantly, though he now realizes he has to avoid getting hit by Kamutoke because it is lethal. So Yuji uses blood manipulation on Sukuna, then closes the distance and lands a chain of black flashes on him, completely overwhelming the King of Curses. And Kenjaku finally realizes what he is looking at. Yuji is like a clone of Sukuna, built to be the perfect counter for Sukuna, which is somewhat his own plan, except his plan is still in its initial phases, and that is what scares him, because it means this sorcerer could be from the future, and he could already know everything. Kenjaku tells Sukuna to only use Kamutoke and Fuga on Yuji, because none of his other curse techniques are going to work on him. Sukuna does not listen to him and opens Malevolent Shrine to land lethal damage on Yuji, but Yuji does not take any damage. He gets pushed back a little, and that is all. Yuji here decides not to use his own domain and to keep it as the surprise attack that finishes Sukuna off. Instead, he uses his special soul targeting dismantle, which slashes the soul directly, and this forces Sukuna to close his own domain and take cover. Kenjaku here tells Sukuna how Yuji is most likely from the future and was made to kill him. Then he asks for Sukuna's permission to jump Yuji alongside Uraume and Takako Uro. Sukuna realizes Kenjaku is right, that this fight is not a fair one for him, and he agrees to Kenjaku's plan. All three special grade sorcerers distract Yuji while Sukuna charges Kamutoke and lands a barrage of lightning on him, completely overwhelming him and injuring him in the massive destructive attack. Takako Uro uses her sky manipulation to land even more blows on Yuji, and just then Angel arrives. The Abe clan sent her to kill Sukuna a long time ago, and she has been hunting him ever since, and now she finally has a reason to strike. Her light-based holy attacks force all three special grade sorcerers off Yuji, and that gap is all he needs. Yuji uses reverse curse technique and recovers quickly. Then he instantly goes for Takako Uro, and with a barrage of cleaves and dismantles, he kills her. Then he tackles Kenjaku and uses a barrage of black flashes on him, knocking him out. Angel takes on Uraume herself, so that Yuji can now focus on Sukuna. Both of them continue their fight, and Yuji, thanks to this battle experience, gets pushed to his absolute limit, and he finally reaches his main timeline version level. Modulo Yuji is now feeling stronger than ever, and he starts overwhelming Sukuna, because he does not only have the better physical stats, he also has blood manipulation, and it is injuring Sukuna heavily. Sukuna uses Kamutoke on Yuji again, but Yuji eats it easily, and with his instant reverse curse technique, he recovers immediately. Sukuna is now getting scared for his life, and he experiences true fear for the first time in his entire life. So he uses Spiderweb to destroy the ground they are standing on, distracting Yuji, and he starts spamming Fuga and Kamutoke into the smoke. He thinks Yuji is dead. Then he hears the words domain expansion, and the King of Curses shits his pants. He never once saw Yuji's domain in this entire fight, and at first he thinks it will be something similar to his own. It is not. Yuji's domain directly crushes Sukuna and his soul at the same time, and the King of Curses is reduced to a small, ugly curse, and Yuji kills him right then and there. Kenjaku wakes up just in time to see it, and he cannot believe his eyes. He tries to run away, but Angel, who has just killed Uraume, blocks his path, and Yuji comes in from behind and completely butchers him with shrine attacks, killing another one of the monsters who was about to wreak havoc on the world. Now Yuji takes a deep breath of relief, because he was able to complete his mission after all that suffering, and he makes another binding vow, giving up his powers and his painful memories, and asks to be born again in the modern era of this new timeline, where he can be Gojo Sensei's student one more time, and this time he can enjoy life to the fullest. without the fear of Sukuna or Kenjaku killing any of his friends. Yuji was finally able to create a new timeline where everyone stays happy, at the cost of him traveling to the past. And the strangest part is that he will never know he did it. The Yuji who wakes up in that new world will never remember the boy who spent an entire lifetime in ancient Japan, making sure that world was safe to wake up in. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more fire content. Peace out.